Hey YouTube, now I'm finally about to drop my video on my first ayahuasca experience. Now, if you follow me on Facebook, then you probably already heard some of the story, right? I didn't even get to finish on Facebook, but I'm about to finish here with y'all today, okay? We about to start from beginning to end, and let me know if you all like and enjoy this video in the comment section. And if you're interested in learning about my whole awakening experience, if y'all want me to do that, I can definitely hit on that topic. Now just comment below and let me know if y'all feeling me, okay? Let's go back down memory lane, alright? Year 2012 is when I first heard about ayahuasca. And that came by way of what then was my boyfriend. Now he's my husband. But he was then my boyfriend. He was telling me about his whole experience with magic mushrooms, learning about these different herbs that allow you to tap deeper into yourself. And I was just like amazed. You know, I was just like, dang, that's tight. You know, like, let me drink some tea, okay? But the thing was, I did not get my hands on the herbs until like years later, actually in the year 2017. And get this, you know, since like, you know, I'm going through life and stuff like that, I've been forgetting, remembering again, forgetting. So I had it in my house for like a couple months. Well, actually it was an apartment then, but hey, it is what it is. It was my house. It was as big as I wanted it to be, especially during my experience. It felt like everything was just perfect for me. Everything was in abundance and liberating. But anyway, I had the herbs in possession, right, for a couple months before I actually took it. Now, the day I took it, let's go there, let's get there, okay? The day I took it, I actually was really stressed out about work, y'all. I was like, look, I don't even aspire to be a pharmacy technician no more. Like, I don't even like the job. I don't like my boss. Like, the customers is just, I can't do this, you know? So I'm just like, this little herb in my cabinet, or these herbs in my cabinet, is probably like the closest thing to death, but not death. So I'm about to do this today because I just need something fresh and new, entertaining. Like, you know, why am I here? Why am I experiencing? All these questions was bottled up in my mind. So I was just like, you know what? Forget it, you know? I'm about to do this jump. So I get home, I tell my spouse, I'm just like, okay, you know what? Forget it, I'm about to do this jump. And I'm just like contemplating, should I do a tea? Disclaimer, in no way am I giving out information for you all to recreate this scenario for your own selves. Okay, ayahuasca is actually illegal in the United States. Let's go. I didn't go the route about drinking it, right? So I was like, it's a loophole around everything. So I went the route of consumption, y'all, and I didn't even know what to expect because, you know, it wasn't like I was able to Google at the time, well, not even Google, but YouTube at the time, and be like, ayahuasca, eating experience, you know, eating ayahuasca experience, or ayahuasca experience as popular as it is now. I was not able to do that at the time. So I was like, let's do this. I'm about to capsule this stuff up and I'm gonna take it. So I did the Syrian roux first, waited 2 hours because of course you cannot have an MAOI inhibitor missing, okay? You have to have that proper precaution. I'm gonna do what I gotta do first, then wait about 2 hours and then go the next step. Granted, I am not that big of a person, you know, so when you think about consumption, you definitely have to think about quantity, right? You definitely got to think about quantity size. So I'm just like, Lord, I'm a little person, and this better go well. Like, this has got to go well. This has got to go well. So with the measurements I did take, it was led to take by intuition, and my spouse, we talked about it in advance. I went ahead and took my partaking. So time has passed, nothing has happened. So I'm like, dang man, I should have freaking took the tea. I'm like, I should have took the tea. This eating stuff is not what it is. First, right? That's what I was thinking at first. Lord. So I go to lay down in the bed, right? And then after laying down, it's like boom, my reality changed. So I started to slowly raise my head, which felt heavy, upward, to like tell my spouse then, because things are starting to like sway and stuff, and I'm just like, oh, it's working, you know. So I'm just like, it's working. Oh snap, it's working. And then that's when, like, you know, the paranoia kind of kicking in, like, oh snap, it's working. I can't go back. What's about to happen now? Let me make my way to my man, you know. So I'm just like moving, kind of slow motion though, but getting to him. We get to the living room. I can't stand up anymore. So I am on the floor at this point. I am on the floor. And when I got to the floor, it was just like, boom. I knew that at one point I was air. And I knew what it felt like. You know, boom. I knew that I was a piece of water. And I would say a piece of water because you have so many different like molecules in water. And it's just like infinite, yo. And I was just like, oh dang, I knew that that's what I was at some point. And that feeling, whew, you know. And so I was just like, whoa, you know. And then after that, I was like a half snake, half woman. And I was like, oh snap, my legs is mended. So I'm on the floor squirming a little bit like this. And I was just I was squirming a little bit, and I was just like, oh, it's a snake lady, you know. And then he's holding me and stuff like that. And then after that, it's kind of like I went kind of paralyzed for a few seconds. And that's when the gratitude of having legs and being able to have mobility kicked in. And I was like, oh my goodness, you know, this is real. You know, some people don't have that freedom and liberty within their physical bodies to be able to move around as they please, you know. So I was very thankful for that. Then I felt like I was literally about to die. I said, oh my gosh, I did it. You know, I screwed up. It's it. So I was like, I can't breathe. And then my husband, he's looking at me. He's like, no, yes you can. Yes you can. You can breathe. You can breathe, girl. Like, hell yeah, girl, you can breathe. You know, like, of course, give me that confidence stuff. And then it was just like the longest gasp ever. And then after that, I was like, I can breathe. And then at that point, I was able to be totally in tune with my astral body, my physical body and astral body. So then that's when that whole psychological connection of being a multi-dimensional being, how that junk is legit. You know, it's like legit. It's realer than real. You know, so I was just like, oh snap, I can operate this and still be here, talk to him, and, you know, move around and be out there in space. It was legit like space, because when I first tapped into that astral body, it was the darkest of the dark area, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is what dark matter is. It was so dark. And then I felt so played too, because I was like, whole time people did not need spacesuits. Whole time space was within my mind. Entire time I had another body outside of this body. Like, are you serious? Whole time I was not using my brain, even though, like, I ain't even gonna front. It's times now where I can look at my Facebook, like, old messages, or, you know, it used to be a time where I could go back to my MySpace page and look at it and be like, okay, I was not that intelligent I was a little cute, but I was not that intelligent, you know. So it was just like, dang, I was kind of like a moron, you know. So I knew that I wasn't really actually literally using my common sense or my intelligence to its full capacity. But there was so much outside of that, and then I was finally able to tap into that essence of myself. So I was like, oh my gosh, girl, like, you are so amazing. You are so wonderful. Your mind is so beautiful. Like, you can do all of this, girl. Like, you didn't need to go to college for this. Like, you know, you didn't need none of that. Like, all you needed was your time and faith in yourself and trusting yourself to be able to explore your inner self. You know, so it was just like, dang, yo, I was missing all of this. Now, okay, back to it. So in my astral body, I was able to travel different realms and dimensions, right? So how I knew it was dimensions and stuff like that, we getting into that. So the first thing in my astral body I was able to do was tap into this entity that was like watching me, and it was an alien, right? This is how I knew it was an alien, because I wasn't able to always see on this journey. The journey was extensive. It was at least like 10 good hours, and then I still had sensitivity the next full day, the next like 24 hours. I was still very sensitive to my heightened abilities. Now, how I knew it was an alien, because the little thing, I wouldn't even say little thing, because it was like big. I knew it was big because I could feel it. But it was far away from me at first, because it didn't know how comfortable I was gonna feel. But I was okay with it because I didn't get to see it. Like, I didn't get to see the entity that, you know, came to me, right? So it was like far off, and it was like it kept doing this, trying to sound like a humanoid. So it was like you know, and then it started like it started to like, you know, speak English, but I can't remember the words. And it was like, and then it'll do that, and then it'll talk like English, but it kind of seemed like robotic type of speaking. But it was talking to me, and it was just pretty much telling me how it was following me and stuff like that, and pretty much talking to me about my childhood a little bit. And then I started asking questions, like, you know, I was just like, so what is Jesus Christ? You know, it's Bible fake, you know, and all this stuff. And then it was just telling me that, you know, Jesus Christ was actually portrayed by a literal individual. And then it started going through timelines, and then it gave me something. It handed me a scroll, like, you know, just like the scrolls that you see out from old behind movies. It gave me a scroll, and when I had it, I was able to read it and know what I was reading, even though it was like some foreign stuff. And then I started speaking a language that I ain't never heard in my life. Okay, never heard in my life, and it was just like I knew everything I was saying. I knew the importance. I knew the manipulation on Christianity in full details. I knew the individual's actual name and was able to pronunciate it correctly in the foreign language that I was speaking. And then at that point, it was like the entity became more comfortable with me. So I was able to like open up my body and like like when I say open up my body, it was so funny how I just said that, open up my body, and like, okay, and allow it to channel within me, within my being. So it was just like kind of like when you're in a car with somebody, but you just letting them drive the car, and you're in the passenger side, but you don't know where you're going. You know, you're just riding. That's how I felt. Like I was just going for a ride, but it was like my own body. Yeah, I let them channel through me, and they spoke even more, and it was just like so beautiful. But then it became overwhelming, and I started to get frustrated because I was like, hold up. That's when like this form of myself started to kick in more, and it was just like, hold up, I cannot be stuck like this. I have to go to work. I have children. I have people that I have to communicate with in English. I don't know what language this is. I cannot get stuck on this program. you know. So I started to tell the entity that was helping me to shut up. And you know, I didn't mean no harm by it, but it was the first response to come out my mouth. You know, it was like, shut up, go away. I don't want to hear this no more. Because it was like, it was shattering the programs that I still continue to run off of, that I was slowly trying to disable. And when I say this, I'm talking about my subconscious mind. And when I say programs, I'm talking about social views, thoughts on religion, thoughts on the individuals around me and stuff like that. So all of this changed, you know. It was just kind of like truths just being revealed and stuff. So I'm just like, you know, pushing the entity away, and then the entity left. You know, I kind of felt bad at that point because I was out in the open, astrally, with no freaking destination, no guidance, no nothing. So it was like I pushed my guide away. And I was just, you know, out there naked. But next thing, because it was kind of like a wave. It was like a wave. When I ate it, it was a wave. So it would cut off. And when you traditionally do ayahuasca and you go to these ceremonies out in like Mexico, Peru, wherever you people go, wherever these people go, they typically give you like a dietary plan and stuff like that, some rules, regulations to follow, like, you know, don't eat sugar, you know, get away from meat for a couple days, don't have sex, all that stuff. None of that stuff I really did. I would say when I took it, I probably was eating vegetarian for like 3 or 4 days. But anyway, I get hungry. So I bust down a couple honey buns. I eventually had sex because I thought, like, I knew it was like, well, I kind of thought it had wore off, but it didn't really wear off at this point. So I had sex, and then things turned from left, low, things went left. I was like, oh gosh, yo, oh gosh. So, yo, this is when the demons started to come in and mess with me, yo. I had got scratched on my back, by a reptilian, and then what else happened? Yo, it's some horrible shit. Well, horrible things. I want to say things because I don't think you're supposed to be cursing on YouTube. There are some horrible things that can take place on your journey. Okay, you can get physically abused, you can get sexually abused. In this whole journey, I didn't know nothing about protection. Okay, when I did my ayahuasca, I didn't know nothing about protection. I think I was just, I'm not even sure if I started my altar at this point and started spells, or immediately after this experience that I started dabbling with spells. But either way, I didn't know any of this stuff, you know. I was just trying to explore myself. But yeah, came into the wrong contact with some wrong entities, yo. But after a while, they went away. But yeah, definitely got scratched up and stuff, yo. But granted, my spouse at the time, I explained to him what was happening. He came and he turned some music on, and it was like some native song or music, like a chant and stuff. And so, like, as the chant was going, it's kind of like putting me in a different trance state, because it was just like, you know, ayu, something like that, you know. And the music and the beats, the chimes and the drums and stuff was just going and going and going. And then so I go into another realm, because it was like at a point like I could see everything in my house and I was just good, you know. And then it went to that bad experience, and then it changed. She changed the music, and I went to another realm with my astral body, because I, you know, was able to separate. I was able to mend together, separate, and mend together, and separate throughout the journey, right? Okay, so the trance state comes in. I go to this other realm, and it's like these little people. I don't know if I should even call them people, but they were little, and they were happy, and they were bouncing and dancing around. So I'm dancing with them, you know. I'm just like, heck yeah, you know, like, I like y'all, you know. This different from what happened, you know, to me like a few minutes ago. It felt like minutes. Yeah, felt like minutes at that point, because I thought my journey was over because I hadn't got relaxed, start cutting the rug and eating snacks and stuff. So I was just like, thought the journey was over, but it wasn't. Okay, so we just chilling and bouncing and dancing, and I felt like that YouTube video of those chants and junk was like hours long. So eventually I started to get annoyed, This is the second time. The first time was with the guide. I pushed my guide away, and I started getting annoyed. So at this point, I tell the little people, like, y'all, I gotta go. I can't dance with y'all all night. Like, I got work to do pretty soon, the next couple hours. Like, it's getting really late. Even though I don't feel tired, I know that my body is gonna feel like tired, right? So I'm just like, come here, y'all, give me a hug, So at this point, like, my astral body is hugging them, but my real body is hugging too. So my real body is doing like this. I'm doing this in my living room, like hugging these little people and stuff. And they were just so cool. They love me. They touched my face and stuff. Like, I could feel it, and and then like I touched my own face and was just like, like, what, this is what they're touching. I'm touching it too. So it's just like, cool people. I don't know where they were, in the solar system now. I don't know, but they were cool. All right. Next thing, after that video, another video came up, but it was different. It was comedy, right? So within this whole comedy skit, I'm looking at it, and now has my full focus, and I'm seeing the actual entities behind these people's faces. So I'm like, oh my gosh, aliens are real. Like, even though I already had my experience, but I'm actually seeing it on television. I'm like, oh my gosh, aliens are real, and they look just like humans. Like, what? Like, like, what? Like, I'm really like cracking up. Like, I felt like I could not have been lied to like that many freaking times before I was like 25, because I know I was younger than that. I was like, oh my gosh, whole time they on the television, they like out in public, like they're everywhere. Like, they be following me, they be following everybody probably, I'm just like, whole time. Okay, now the ones that were on the television, they were in the form of these two white men. I could see, like, the kind of like dinosaur like ridges and shit and stuff, YouTube trying to keep this case sensitive, because I want this video to get viewed by y'all. I want this video to get viewed. So yeah, I could start to see like the skin, the real skin behind their skin, because it kind of changed like colors from like like regular like Caucasian skin to like greenish. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, whoa. And then they was like laughing in the skit, and it was like ha ha ha, like, we've been messing with y'all this whole time. And what else did they say? I was like, I can't even remember right now. I thought of it a couple days ago though. But yeah, they was just pretty much just mocking the human race. Oh yeah, and they said that the truths are in comedy. They was like, yes, and we put the truths in the comedy. And then they was just laughing about it and stuff like that. So after like a couple days after my experience, I started watching more comedy, and I started decoding comedy and stuff like that. So I have a really like big journal at the time. It was a red book. I still have that red book that I started to write and jot stuff down. But yeah, so after that, and just pretty much just listening to them mock the human race and all that stuff, I was able to realize the decoding and the placement in television and synchronicity, the time of the shows, when they air shows and all that stuff. It was just like, kind of like just becoming more obvious. Now, after this descended, the whole show, I went into myself even more with, tapping into my higher senses and my DNA. So I was able to see things happen before they happen. And one of the things, it was very short though, was my spouse going to use the restroom. You know, I was just sitting there and I was like, oh, okay. So I guess we're getting towards the end of it. You know, it's been several hours at this point of journeys. So I see him go use the bathroom. I'm like, what are you getting ready to do? And then he was like, I gotta use the bathroom. And I was like, yo, I just saw you go in the bathroom and I watched you pee like a few seconds ago. Well, it felt like a few seconds. I can't really like tell time. But like, you know, when I'm in a state of watching things, you know, doing my third eye or listening to things, I kind of get distracted at that point. So it felt like whatever was going on at the time was infinite. But when I had those down moments, because it does have those down moments, I could, you know, look at the time and be like, oh, okay, you know, it's been 2 hours or it's been 4 hours, you know, oh, 8 hours now, cool. You know, and it's like, oh, damn, 8 hours. Whoa, I'm going to be on this thing for a while. But, yeah, I was able to see him use the restroom. Now, from that point, I did have a baby at the time as well who was in the crib, and he started to cry. And then I thought, like, what is he actually saying, you know? And I was able to translate. He said, I'm hungry, and I heard him, you know? So I was just like, I started to talk to him telepathy wise, and that was my first telepathy experience, yeah, but definitely not my last at this point in my life. Sometimes it just, you know, happens. But yeah, he was like, I'm hungry, and I was just like, well, mom is trying out some herbs and I can't really get your food right now. So I just need you to go to sleep for me because you'll be awake in a couple hours and I'll be feeling a whole lot better. I'll be able to cook you breakfast and it's going to taste so good. You know, even though it was like a little baby, I was going to give him like, you know, a little bit of my oatmeal because he was like, I think he was like probably around 15 months or something like that. But anyway, yeah, we spoke telepathy, and then I told his dad to go check on him in the room, and he was asleep. He went back to sleep. So after our little conversation in my head, you know, we was able to talk it out, and you know, he was okay. He was comforted. He knew what to expect too, because he didn't wake up anymore that night. He slept throughout the whole night. So yeah, by the time my spouse ended up going to sleep before me. So I was like, at this point, I'm feeling lonely. I'm feeling like, dang, man, like, sad. So I was like, I had to re-empower myself. Like, look, Ashley, you've been experiencing all of this by yourself this far. So you're all right. Even though he's asleep, you'll eventually be able to pull it together. You don't know what's going to happen now, but you're going to be all right. So eventually, I go lay down next to him. And then I started to get, like, disappointed. I was like, what in the world? I have work in probably like 3 hours because it was like the early AM at this point. I'm like, I got work in probably about 3 hours. I cannot get my astral body inside of my real body, and I cannot merge them together right now. I still feel it too. I feel like my astral body was out in space at this point and nothing was going on with it. It was just out in space, and I was just like, and my body is right here, and I need both of them to be on one accordance because I got to get to work, and you know, like, I can't be missing no hours, you know. So it was just like eventually I was able to merge myself after beating my head on my pillow for a little bit, and I was surprised I didn't wake him up because I was like right next to him. Beat my head on my pillow, right? And then I finally get my body to merge together. Didn't really go to sleep though. It was like I dozed off a little bit, got back up, and I was still like my senses was so heightened, like taking that shower, getting dressed and all that stuff. It was just like I was so grateful to be inside of my being, to have a body, to be able to walk, breathe, talk, hug people. I hugged all my family when they woke up and stuff, and I got ready to put on my smock and go towards the city bus because I didn't have a car at the time. So I got to the city bus, and oh my gosh, I felt people's emotions, yo. It was like so sad because like the first person I saw was like this handicapped man. So, like, no lie, if you saw me in that moment, you probably thought I was, like, picking at him or something. Heck, if I probably saw myself and I didn't know what my own situation was at the time, I probably would have thought I was just being a jerk too. You know, so, because, like, when I looked at him, I immediately felt like I was crippled. So, like, my body, like, I literally portrayed like I was crippled too. And it was just like, dang, I didn't know how to cut it off, because I was like trying to fight my own resistance of, like, you know, making my arm go little and then dragging my leg and stuff. And I was just like, oh my gosh, girl, you cannot be doing this at the city. But it's like too many people here to be doing that mess, you know. So once I get on the bus, it stopped and I started to cry. And then so I'm looking around, because I know at this point it clicked to me that I'm taking in other people's emotions and stuff, you know. Talk about them clears. People say they empaths, but yo, you could really be a clear empath. Like, I was in the back of the bus, I started crying, I looked up front and I saw a girl crying up there, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I done tapped into her. So I felt like it depends, because it wasn't happening to everybody. Like I said, it was a lot of people at the bus, probably about a good 10 to 15 people. I didn't experience from everybody, but it was certain people. So I was like, oh, okay, so this has to do with like a certain frequency. If I'm able to match with a person, then I'll experience what they're experiencing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm about to be at work pretty soon. You know, I do not want to be feeling or doing this, or even, you know, be thought of a person that is making fun of other people while at work. So I just bear it down, you know, pretty much just spoke intentions of not connecting to nobody at my job, and this stuff just, like, you know, stopping. But I went to work. I still felt, you know, people's energy. I had to go to the bathroom every now and then, breathe a little bit, calm down a little bit, relax, you know, speak little affirmations to myself and stuff. But other than that, it was good. I was able to pull myself through. The rest of the day, I went home, talked about it, and that was that, y'all. That was my first ayahuasca experience. Would I say overall was a good experience? Yes, it was. You know, it was good, the good and the bad. It allowed me to know that I was so much more than what my life was, you know, telling me, what my experiences in this lifetime is telling me. It allowed me to see beyond the veil. I felt like I was a bad what? Oh, I felt empowered. Yo, I was like, I am lit. I am the most magical, amped up little person that I even know, walking around this mud. Like, I was like, dang, if I feel this way, everybody else can feel